Our next guest, Kevin West, is the president of Expression Ministries Networks and is an international speaker. One of his latest projects, though, is a memoir he wrote called Angel in Aisle 3. It's his true story of an unlikely friendship between a bank executive about to go to prison and a disheveled elderly stranger after a chance meeting at Kevin's grocery store. Kevin West joins us this morning. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Cheryl.
You're very welcome. This is your true story.
This is the real thing.
And in this story, you're that bank executive about to go to prison.
I am, yeah.
Tell us about that side of the story. How did this all get underway?
Well, I was young and aggressive in my early 20s and married and had two little children at the time. I have four now, but two at the time. And things were kind of coming easy for me. And then I got caught up in some wrong things. My foundation was off because I grew up in a church environment. My parents were great, solid people, but I just got on the wrong track. And about when I was in my late 20s, something happened. I started having an encounter with myself and started running into people that I really hadn't seen in a long time in Sunday school teachers, for example. And so I had a moment one night when my wife looked at me and she said, we don't even know you anymore. And for the next couple of hours, I wrestled with myself. And I finally said, God, if you'll take this mess, I'll give it to you. And the next morning I went in and resigned my position from the bank, but my legal troubles were just beginning. Mm-hmm. And I'd purchased a grocery store a couple of years prior to that just as an investment. And I went and started running the grocery store, and that's when I met what we refer to in the angel in aisle 3,
yeah, Don. Now, this whole thing happened while you were waiting to figure out how all this was going to resolve itself, whether you were going to go to jail. So were you looking for something at that moment, or was it just a moment of awakening when Don walked into your store just kind of out of the blue?
It was an awakening. One day, I really didn't know what was going to happen. I had heard there was some legal things that were pressing over my head, but I really wasn't sure at that time. And Don comes walking in one day, smelled bad. It was like the guy in the community that looked his tattered clothes. Everybody in the community knew him as an outcast. And he came walking in. I did not know him, but he came walking in that day, and I had my Bible on my counter, and he looks at the Bible and he says, "Are you getting anything good out of that book?" And I said, "It's all good." And he said, "Can I get a little credit?" And I said, "Of course," because my pendulum swung the other direction. I was kind of selfish in the world. Right. And now I'm giving it all away.
Yeah, he had nothing, and you offered him $20 worth of food.
Right.
And then you made a friend from that moment on. You felt that you needed him to come into the store every day.
Yeah, there was something about him because there was tenderness, there was a humility, and I noticed there was a great compassion. So there was something that was warm inside of him, and he started showing me things in the Bible that I'd never seen before. And over the next couple of years, Don and I, while I was still going through my trial of waiting on, am I going to be indicted? Are the legal problems still going to continue to happen? And my marriage and my life had really fallen apart. And during that time, Don was very instrumental in helping redirect some of the things that I really wanted to handle with emotional level. Don would come in and say, "No, you need to be grounded on this. You don't need to handle it that way. Here's how you need to handle it." And things began to change, and he and I became extremely close. He was in his 70s at the time. I was in my 20s, and it was just an unlikely friendship that really made a difference in my life and his.
Yeah, both of your lives changed, and it's an amazing story that you tell. Why did you decide that you wanted to turn this into a book?
Well, you know what? He was so dishonored in the community, and I recognize the impact he's had in my life. And in the last 15, 16 years, the Lord has really completely transformed my life. I pastor a church now in Huntington, West Virginia. Our ministry's become international, and I felt the right way I would not be where I am today, quite honestly, if it wasn't for the guy that walked in off the street asking for credit that impacted my life, and I watched how his life changed as well.
And as we know, angels come in all forms in our lives.
Yes, they do.
And you have to kind of have your heart open to receive them.
One thing I've kind of realized over the course of time is everybody goes through changes of life, and we're all looking for God to show us something typically supernatural. But what I've discovered is sometimes the Lord just brings it to you right underneath your nose, and we're looking for something beyond what he brings us. So don't look past the apparent. Sometimes it comes right in, and the Lord brings it to you, and don't look past it because it could be the very thing you've been praying for. And
you were a man whose life began entrenched in the church. You kind of stepped away from it a bit, and now you're totally back to it.
Yeah, it's been that way for the last 17 years. Been full-time ministry since 2000, and God is just blessing our church. We have a thriving, vibrant church in Huntington, West Virginia, called Expression Church of Huntington, and we have a ministry network that's all over the country, and we are privileged to speak and share the gospel and the transforming gospel of Jesus Christ all over the world.
And very quickly, what do you hope people will get out of reading your book?
I want people to be able to see that life is real, and life is a great teacher. Sometimes it's painful, but the Lord never leaves you abandoned. He'll bring people into your life, will help you in the process. Don used to say all the time, the process is always progress if God is in it. So allow the Lord to lead you and guide you, and hopefully it'll bring some encouragement to other people as they walk through life and the journey of life.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. It is an amazing one. Kevin West, the book is called Angel in Aisle 3. Published by a division of Simon & Schuster, Angel in Aisle 3 is available now.